There's a first quadrant terminal point on the unit circle where sine t equals 2 cosine t. Identify the false statement. Alright, so let's figure out what sine and cosine are. If we begin with our sine squared t plus cosine squared t equals 1, let's replace sine with 2 cosine. So this becomes 2 cosine t squared, because it's squared, plus cosine squared t equals 1. Once we square this, it becomes 4 cosine squared t plus cosine squared t equals 1. Add those together, that's 5 cosine squared t equals 1. Cosine squared t equals 1/5. Cosine t equals 1 over the square root of 5. Now I'm just going to leave it in this form for now. We could multiply top and bottom by square root of 5 and get the radical out of here, but for right now I'm just going to leave it like that. Now what is sine? So we can go back to our original identity. Sine squared t plus cosine squared t equals 1. Now I'm going to solve for sine. So I'm going to plug in cosine squared t, which is 1/5. So we have sine squared t plus 1/5 equals 1. I could also say that that is 5 over 5 because we're going to subtract 1/5 from both sides. Sine squared t equals 4 over 5. Sine t equals the square root of 4, which is 2, over the square root of 5. Now what is tangent? That's sine over cosine. So 2 over the square root of 5 divided by 1 over the square root of 5, but we can just multiply by the reciprocal. 5 over 1, cancel. It's 2, which it is. So that's correct. Cotangent is the reciprocal of tangent, so that 2 over 1 becomes 1 over 2, or 0.5. This is also true. Tan times cotangent is 1. This is an identity. That is true. Tan t times sine t, well, if we take tangent, which is 2, and multiply it by sine, which is 2 over the square root of 5, that just equals 4 over the square root of 5. That is not equal to cosine, which is 1 over the square root of 5. So this is the false statement. The answer is C.